Hi there. So today's little conversation is about the idea of being really honest with yourself. And I just want to share a little exercise that I created for a client yesterday, which has worked really well. And it's especially useful for times when you're plagued with indecision, self-doubt, being down on yourself, and generally being quite judgmental, but also presenting as if everything's fine. And you know, when we do that and it builds up over time, it actually creates a lot of internal pressure that can take its toll in all manner of ways. So this particular person had been suffering from a fair bit of anxiety and stalling on a lot of decisions, not quite sure which was the right way, and too much going on in the head. I think a lot of people can relate to that. Anyway, so what I suggested she did, it became clear that there were a number of things that were quite irritating or annoying to her, but she hadn't really been doing much about it. And to the point where feeling a bit judgmental towards herself for even having some of those thoughts. So I got her to do this exercise where, first of all, you just start writing a list of sentences, and it starts out like this: to be honest, I blah blah blah, fill in the blank. To be really honest, I blah blah blah, fill in the blank. And you know those conversations that people have with each other sometimes when there is a bit of safety there and some good listening and not too much judgment, and one person might say to the other, well, you know what, to be honest, blah blah blah. So that's the blah blah that we're looking for in this exercise. And you just keep going. You write and you write and you write. So she did that. 3 pages of statements that were illustrating various areas in this person's life, issues around people, money, her own self-image, her body, all sorts of things, just full of judgments. What we were able to do with that were a couple of really interesting things. So once you've got your list done, the second step is take a bit of distance from it, maybe, leave it till the next day or later in the day if you've done it in the morning, and have a look at that list as though it was appearing as an article in a magazine. And the article's written by some really clever, sassy person whose writing you normally find quite entertaining and insightful. So imagine if that person had written these things about what they honestly felt and thought. How would you judge those things? How would they make you feel? And through that process, we started to get a little bit of distance from the issues, enough to take some perspective that allowed us to go down some particular pathways in processing that material, which we don't have time to talk about today, but it led us towards the forgiveness journey, the work with shadow, and various other parts of the work that we can do, which turned out to be very, very fruitful. So there you go. There's a little tip. If you're feeling overwhelmed, confused, and generally negative, start this process just with yourself privately and write out the answer to those questions. What is it that you would say if you were being really honest? To be honest, I reckon blah, blah, blah. So go for it, feel safe, and have a wonderful time with it. If anyone needs any help, just private message me and I will help you step through that exercise. It's really worth doing. Okay, see you next time.